What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. Mike, can you believe we are at the season finale of season 2? Mike is saying no.
I can't believe it. I was talking to the patrons yesterday, and just saying, like, I can't. That means we're like 50 episodes in that we've done. And it feels like we're still figuring this show out. I guess it's because we did the practice for so long that it still feels like this is the new baby brother, but it's not. It's a seasoned little adolescent already. No, a little toddler, I guess we would say, 2 years old.
Well, no, because we're about to. So how many? Because season 1 was only 19 episodes.
Well,
so we haven't
26.
quite done 50 yet.
Yeah, we're very close.
So almost 50. Yeah. So, but we are not yet a third of the way through the show.
Yeah, that's wacky.
So, I mean, the show's 176.
But now I understand what you mean. Like, now it's starting.
Right. Oh, yeah. So the show starts now.
Yeah.
So, what we had in the for the first 44 episodes was the prologue to what we're about to start now, which is super exciting. I was very excited to get to this episode. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about, so much to get into. So that's gonna be really, really fun. I've already noted season 3, episode 1, and oh boy, hold on to your hats, kids.
Interestingly, I was gonna watch it like right after I watched the season finale, just roll in because I was feeling it, and my internet was working better, and I finally got the AI upscaled season 3,
yes.
Which is. Now, I'm going to put that in our, it's in the Mike Watches Deep Space Nine folder, Keith, just so you know where they exist.
You already gave it to me, didn't you?
Season 3?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe before, but now it's in the drive.
Whatever. I used it. I've had it for like a month.
Well, whatever. I think you know me, I love to delete.
Mike is a mad deleter.
So
he
anyway,
would delete his own cat.
But I've been making this promise I was going to watch it with CEO Jen, and so we're trying to schedule that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun because me and Jen do a lot of talking while we watch television. So
you're chatty folks.
Yeah. So we'll
but you still have to pay attention though.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm super excited about it. We're gonna have just a peek behind the curtain. We are prepared for season 3. We're doing a full overhaul and refresh of the entire show coming up for season 3.
Yeah, it's in the can, Keith. Keith did an amazing visual job. Keith does all of our graphic design. So if you have any work for him, hit him up at K&M Entertainment.
No, Keith and Mike Entertainment.
Keith and Mike Entertainment at gmail.com. So I loaded it all into the OBS yesterday. It's like ready to go. I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool.
But before we do that, we have to do 2 things.
We gotta blow some shit up, Keith.
We're gonna blow some shit up. But first, we have to thank our incredible patrons up at patreon.com/K&M. And I decided to break it down by rank because guess what? We have some captain's levels, some commander's level, some lieutenant level, and some ensign level.
100%.
We definitely need better level names than that, but I just did I did the rank pips. Mike, who are our patrons at their levels?
Well, Keith, we could not make the show without the loving support of Brian Kaufman and Casey Clark, who are at the top of the food chain.
Tier.
They are giving us more money than we deserve. We've got our newest patron.
Welcome to the team.
Ren Joshua, who you might know from Look at My Star Trek Toys, done some custom work, but it is now customing his I got nothing. Welcome to the team.
Oh, you got every penny's worth.
Yep, we got Andrew Hayes, Jorge Novo, and the mysterious and Worf's boot shivs coming in at level 2. And then, just people tossing us a little coin, just a little tip on the bar at Quark, CRM Productions, Charles Babbage, Nikolay Ivanovich Lobachevsky, at Grim_Toys, Delusions at Noon. Get your name. Keith, I didn't know what these dots were, but now it makes sense. Keith,
now you understand.
So far, we're supposed to be gatekeeping some of the content, but since we get it that most of these folks are just supporting the show, I've been giving Mike Watches Deep Space Nine to everybody. That'll change eventually. But this week, Keith, I got one of the best screenshots I've ever taken.
Of you sent it to me.
I'm gonna pop it over. This is what I experienced at one portion of the show last night.
That's fantastic.
So, you get to watch us talking about it. But if you'd like to see me watching it in real time, and now with CEO Jen, who has zero context, you can do so.
Be so confused.
Make sure to check it out at patreon.com/K&M. Spell it
now, Mike. I have a nit to pick with you, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I actually popped on and watched some of that because I was so darn curious about your reactions. Do you watch the show in the wrong aspect ratio?
I give it in whatever it's. Oh no, yes, it does. My VLC is popping it to 16:9. So,
what are you doing, buddy?
I can't get it to 14:4:3, but I could switch back maybe. I don't. I've kind of been enjoying it. It does. It evens it out a little bit. Yeah, it's a little stretchy. But
what are you doing? I mean, you can play those files with just like your regular Windows
Keith, you think we're doing NASA here. You don't. Just let me do what I gotta do. It's set up. It is what it is.
So everything you see is...
It's not that squishy.
But the screenshot, it's 100% squish. But your screenshots aren't squished.
I don't understand why it's doing it. I don't quite get what's happening because I'm bringing... We'll talk about it another time. I'll try to, for season 3, I'll get it to 4.3 again. It was 4.3 and then it stretched. I don't know what
people worked very hard for that. All right. Anyway, I feel like I have been stretched to 16:9 since COVID, so I'd like to get myself back to 4:3. So that's where I'm at. All right. I think we should talk about this episode. I'm super excited to get into it. So we are talking about the season finale of season 2, episode 26. The Jem'Hadar, which aired on Mike's finding out. I didn't update it.
No, don't worry about it.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out.
We know what episode we're doing.
We know what we're doing. So this aired on June 12th, 1994. We were continuing to listen. Sadly, as it's a season finale, it stayed with us all summer, but we're not going to be there next week. But I swear I was still listening. Mike?
Keith, since it's the end of season 2, I will continue to sing. I will be singing every week. However, we do get a comment every week from our good friend Tom over on YouTube who just is begging me not to sing. And for this 1 week, and this 1 week only...
Begging us both not to sing.
Let's sit here in silence and think about I Swear with very clever lyrics. And this one's for Tom. Next week I'm back, Tom. So enjoy your 1 week of break. Because next week I'm singing.
We just got to feel it.
Oh, that was clever. That was a funny joke.
Oh my God, so good. That was so worth it.
Thanks for writing in every week, Tom. We appreciate your support.
Yes, we're of course. Here's what I think you understand a little bit about our personalities. Mike is like, oh, let me find a way to find a funny way to give you what you want, and I'm like, I'm singing 3 times more.
Yeah, you can't please all the people all the time, but Keith can insult all of them all at once.
I'm not insulting anybody, but I'm just a little contrary. All right. So, however, this is not the end of our awesome things we'd be doing this weekend. I believe I actually got myself to the theater to watch this instant classic, Speed.
Oh, that Speed is an instant classic.
Absolute instant classic.
Keith, it's almost like if the show, this is why we need good internet, because if the show drops below 55 frames per second, we blow up.
Oh, no.
If you didn't know if you knew that.
Yeah, that's pretty much, and on my side, it sure does. But luckily, you got to put some extras on your end. And that's why we're going in circles, because I'm going at 32 and you're going at 70.
Of course, you're not Sandra Bullock, and I am not Keanu Reeves. So
No, I'm certainly. That was such a good movie.
So good.
I saw it I do think I saw it in the theaters. So because I was gonna say it in past tense, but it's not past tense. I had a huge crush on Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, who doesn't? If you don't, there's something you got to screw loose.
Because I saw her in The Net, and I'm like, sold. That's what got me to go to Speed. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about the hard news, the important hard news.
don't we talk about what we were watching first?
Oh, right. Oh, yes, of course. I have it here. Sorry, Mike. What was going on TV?
Well, Keith, this is summer. Wasn't a lot on, but for you and me, something really important was happening tonight.
Oh, do tell.
Really important, Keith. The 1994 Tonys.
Oh my God. That grease, huh?
Yep. So,
that was the Billy Porter grease.
Yeah, there was so we had let's see, Jeffrey Wright, Angels in America. Perestroika was a best featured role as an actor. As a best actress, we had Audra McDonald in the Carousel revival. The best book of a musical was Passion by James Lapine.
Yes, I love that.
What else we got? The director Nicholas Heitner for Carousel. Carousel was cleaning up. Best director for a play was Stephen Daldry for An Inspector Calls. Best musical, Keith. Do you remember what it went to there?
In 1994?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
We had...
It wasn't Passion.
It was Passion.
It was Passion.
Produced, yep. Scott Rudin. And Passion also won music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim.
Of course.
Original score. Angels in America, Perestroika by Tony Kushner was the best play.
But Donna Murphy was best actress, was she not?
Keith, Jersey was on the map as the Regional Theater Tony Award was given to the McCarter Theater out there in the Jers.
Oh, how about that?
And best revival of musicals, Carousel.
Yeah.
Best revival play, Inspector Calls. Lifetime Achievement, Jessica Tandy, and Hume Crin.
And we are now so old that every one of those revived shows have been subsequently revived.
Re-revived, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what was on TV, brother.
All right. Well, yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I probably watched that, I would imagine.
You would think, yeah.
All right. So now it's time for the hard news. And that is... a couple with 8-inch tongues marry. That's just upsetting.
That sort of looks like the king, doesn't it? There on the left.
The king?
Well, like the new king.
Oh, yes. King Charles.
I see you, Jen.
The true king.
Love you too.
And the 62-inch bust keeps shipwrecked gal afloat.
Okay, that's fun.
So...
what else we got?
Safety first.
Hold on. Let's see where something's hiding down there below. Lose 10 pounds fast on the popcorn and watermelon diet. That sounds pretty good.
Maybe that's how I can get myself back into the right aspect ratio.
Tell you what, I like popcorn. I like watermelon.
That's true.
You get everything you need.
Popcorn.
Water, fruit, corn, veggies.
Corn.
You got it all in there.
Oh, well, all right. It's scientifically proven. Clearly, it's the Weekly World News. How could they possibly not have utterly accurate information? Speaking of utterly accurate information, Mike, I think it's time. Now, Keith, waste your time with trivial trivia. Okay.
Hey, Keith, I have a question for you.
Yes.
For season 3, my assumption was, since the trivial trivia swoops in, I won't tell you what the graphic is. We want to... I'm just playing the audio, right? Maybe or do you want the whole video still?
No, with the video.
Okay. All right. Your face is very large. Don't get enough of your face.
Oh, you know what? I'll update the video just for you, Mike.
And now with more face. No, I actually just hand-braked all the videos to shrink them, so everything's...
Oh, smart.
It's crazy how good that compression is. I mean, that video, that trivial trivia video there is 50 megabytes that you sent me, which is nothing really, but in OBS, every little bit helps. When you handbrake it, it's 5 megs now.
Wow. Yeah. Well, very impressive.
You're welcome, everybody.
That stuff has been compressed and uncompressed and recompressed about 17 times by the time it gets to your eyeballs, because it goes...
Oh, YouTube, yeah.
So I do it, then you compress it, then we put it back in, then we upscale it to 4K.
And then YouTube compresses it.
It's a big mess.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway. All right. So trivial trivia. I think this segment is going to be a little bit more difficult moving forward because of spoiler mania. So, the next couple episodes will be a little light because I've had to cut off about 75% of the trivia for spoilers. I bet that will probably get a little easier as we move forward once we establish our new normal, our new world. Anyway, so here we go. The script mentions that the Jem'Hadar's cloaking devices that they have on their persons were similar to Tosk. And in the script, it fills in the story that these cloaking devices, the technology, were gifted to the hunters of Tosk by the Dominion for their loyalty.
It does say that they're big on negotiations and stuff.
Yeah. So the hunters of Tosk are actually members of the Dominion, which is where they got that technology. Quark mentions selling Vulcan-idic pins. Well, in real world, the Vulcan-idic pins were created by Gene Roddenberry as a way to make some money in real life.
Oh, that's funny.
He created and sold Vulcan-idic pins, just make some cash. It's like Shark Tank, Star Trek version. He's 100% pulling the cork. So we're going to notice as we move forward, there's a huge shift in the show, and a lot of that is due to a shift in the people writing and producing the show. We have a new showrunner taking over. Ira Stephen Bear will now be basically helming the show because this is the final episode that Michael Piller is the writing supervisor. He would leave to go create Voyager with Rick Berman and Jerry Taylor. And so next episode, Ron Moore joins the show. And so Ira Stephen Bear and Ronald Moore will do a lot of the shaping of where we go forward. In the German dub of this, breaking all rules, Morn speaks in this episode, which I can't believe they got through. Somebody was not paying close attention because he says "Dam nicht," which basically means so much for that. After Quark walks away, that shouldn't happen, but he does. So check out the German dub if you want to hear what the German dub of Morn sounds like. And lastly, stunt legend Tom Morga makes an appearance as a Jem'Hadar guard. He is somebody who you see constantly on Star Trek. He appeared in every 90s series as 1,000 different stunt coordinators and the majority of Trek movies as well, starting with the motion picture in 79 going all the way through the Next Gen movies. But I thought it was interesting. Tom Morga has the distinction of having played both Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees in the movies. So I'm sorry. If you're in every Star Trek out there and you're Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees, you are a legend.
That's pretty big.
That is really, really cool. Love all of that stuff. So this is here. We normally talk about what was Next Gen doing? Not happening. What was Voyager doing? Pre-production. They were clearly the minute this wrapped, Michael Piller and Rick Berman and Jerry Taylor, they are deep into pre-production, creating that show. They're probably casting it at this point because we are, this is what, June? So we're 6 months away from the premiere of Voyager. And so this is also when, just behind the scenes, when my uncle transferred over. So he established Deep Space Nine for the first 2 seasons and then hopped over to create all the sounds for Voyager. So, and we're only a couple years away from my brother joining and working on Voyager. All right. So the guest stars this week include Alan Oppenheimer as Kogue, the captain of the ship. Aaron Eisenberg is back as Nog. Cress Williams plays the Jem'Hadar third. Molly Hagan plays Eris. Sarah Grando plays the second officer. And Michael Jace plays the first officer of the Federation ship, who you might know from The Shield, playing a great character. However, took a bit of a turn, Mike. He's actually now serving 40 years for killing his wife. So that took a dark turn.
Keith, you want to hear something weird?
I do.
Molly Hagan, who I couldn't put my finger on, but I recognized her instantly from all of her random work. But you know what she was? She was in many things, but you know what she was in, which is like a really deep cut that you and I talked about a little bit on another podcast?
Oh, do tell.
Herman's Head.
Herman's head.
Oh God, talk about a lot of face. So much face.
So much face. Well, it's because it's like 20 degrees out, and of course the cat wants to go in his window.
Stupid sitcom from it ran 72 episodes, 91 to 94, about that dude, and like we kept seeing his inner monologue, like all the people who lived in his head.
You told me that, and I didn't remember then, and I still don't remember.
We watched the whole trailer and the intro to it when we did it on the practice.
Mike, we do a lot of hours of content, and I remember almost none of it.
Okay, well, I gotta pull it up for us. Hold on, we're doing this.
We're gonna watch the trailer.
Yeah.
So, existing on the internet somewhere in the bowels will be me watching the trailer for this multiple times.
Hank Azaria was in it.
Oh, Hank Azaria, that's cool.
Yep. Okay, hold on. Now I gotta pull up. How am I gonna do this? I know how I'm gonna do it.
This could be the longest episode we've ever done, which is definitely not true.
No, that's not true. Okay, here's the pilot. So,
okay.
I have to pull up the.
Mike doesn't want to be monetized today.
No, it's gonna be okay.
He says that. All right. Well,
here it comes.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
This is me making mouth noises to cover dead air.
Why can't I see it though, Keith?
I don't know. There we go. Oh, there she is.
Yep.
In life. I'm Herman's anxiety, and I keep him out of trouble. And believe me, there's trouble everywhere. I'm Herman's lust.
Remember that guy?
He'd miss out on all the
No.
stuff. You know, fun.
I remember the guy from the practice. Yes.
Sometimes they agree. Usually they don't. But this struggle is going on.
Wow, it's like Inside Out, but a sitcom from the 90s.
All going on inside.
And that's the
Herman's head.
theme song. Like that's the theme song to the show, I think.
I mean, it's a great idea.
And then they just like, there's Lisa Simpson.
That's it. It's
Right?
over.
Wait, wasn't that
Tonight, you
that's
and Connie
Herman.
are on your own.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Connie, yeah. Connie can't go either.
Heck, Zaria's in there.
Okay,
Zari, yeah.
call me if you change your mind.
And then like every time he has like some conflict,
Is on her way out.
we
Let's
go
look at her
inside his
butt.
head and like
Uh-huh.
they all talk.
It's a great concept. No wonder it made it 70-something.
Listen, Connie, I'm sure you're
episodes.
gonna feel a lot better about this. Why don't you just go home?
Okay, well, there you go.
Okay,
That was
well,
worth
right.
it.
Well,
Totally worth it.
We've seen some time in Mike's head. But why don't we hop into the screening room and let's talk about some Star Trek? What do you say?
I think it's time. Ba 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 ba
Sorry, Tom, you got some singing. It's built into the show. We have to sing.
There's not much we can do about it.
O'Brien must suffer. Keith and Mike must sing.
Let's sing. Keith, do you know what I forgot to do here?
You forgot to load the screenshots.
No, I didn't, but I did forget. Hold on, we're gonna do this. It's okay.
What all is happening?
I forgot to add the audio sync in, but it's okay. It's there now. We got it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, fair enough.
We're back.
Season finale, folks.
Yep.
Putting in all of the stops here for the season finale. All right. So here we are in the Jem'Hadar. Jake, we begin.
Wait, no. This is the wrong. Screens. Wrong show.
Previously on
That's Blood Oath. Yep.
Blood Oath. I was like, that doesn't even seem like our last week.
Jem'Hadar is episode 226. Guys, we're doing it live.
This is not. If you thought that 40-something episodes into the show we were going to get better, I think you
That's
have
pretty
your
fast,
answer.
though. Keith, this was a good episode. Obviously, I took literally 199 screenshots. So here we go, folks. Buckle up.
Or basically, you just did a screenshot of every frame of the show. I love it.
Yep.
That's good. We have this incredible archive of screenshots now. All right. So in our teaser, Jake is poking at mushrooms with a baster.
I will say,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a pain in the butt to take the screenshots. I mean, it's just pressing a button, but like it does break my immersion when I'm trying to watch a television show. So I've Googled extensively to find people who have already screenshotted the show, and they exist, but no more than like 20 screenshots per episode. right? Like just establishing shots and a couple of things. And I was like, no.
I mean, I'm assuming you have it like hotkeyed, right?
I do have it hotkeyed. I'm just saying it's. I mean, why do it if you don't have to? But we will now have, because I've Googled extensively, the most, like you said, comprehensive collection of screenshots for every episode. You can find like here and there, but every episode we got them now. Well, we will have had them. Yeah,
well, hey, you need screenshots from the 90s. You want Deep Space Nine? You want the practice? Boy, we are really well set. All right, so Jake's working on his science project. But Ben comes in and says, I think it's boring and not challenging enough. And, I mean, geez. Jake says, well, a little harsh. Jake says, I'm a low-tech guy, which is an interesting wrinkle. I really like it. I like it that as a character differentiator, because it's both showing, like, Jake is a little bit of an old soul mixed in. He's like a young kid, but he's an old soul. He's a low-tech guy in a high-tech environment, and it just makes his character has another wrinkle. I like it.
Awesome.
But Ben, what he's doing, it's all a plan to get some father-son bonding time, and he agrees to take Jake to the Gamma Quadrant to do a planetary survey for his science project.
And might even learn to fly, Keith.
Might even get to play some boops and bops. He wouldn't let Ducat do it, so it's good. Good. Let's be fun. I'd love to take a runabout. So later, Kira is filling in Sisko about New Bajor, the Bajoran colony in the Gamma Quadrant. But Ben is all about his father-son trip. There he is with his iconic baseball.
Cross-seam fastball.
Yes, indeed. So Jake shows up excitedly. He's invited Nog to be his partner and go on the trip to the Gamma Quadrant. That's a great screenshot.
Now he's, I imagine he's saying the word Nog.
Mm-hmm. Naturally, Sisko is crushed, but Jake guilts him into saying he needs a good grade or else he'll drop out of school. So that's a pretty good guilt trip. Get your buddy to come along with you. So in Quark's, Morn is sad, and Quark is trying to help.
Speaking German, apparently?
In the German cut, yeah. But when Odo shows up, Quark he runs off and explains he's trying to put ads on the station's monitors like they do with the boards in NHL games and try to ruin everything. Odo enjoys telling Quark, nobody likes you. So, which I think in their relationship, in douche dating, telling somebody that nobody likes you, I think it's called negging.
Negging, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Odo was negging Quark in that moment.
You're also supposed to wear a hat, Keith. It says.
Yeah.
A gaudy weird hat, it's something you need traits that like emphasize you, make you look more douchey before you neg.
Okay. Well, I didn't know.
That's because you're ugly and no one likes you, Keith.
What? Oh, are you hitting on me? You trying to hook up?
Yeah, honey.
Wow, that made somebody's day.
What are we doing?
I don't. This show is a mess. This is a mess. Anyway, Nog comes up to tell Quark about the trip, and naturally, Quark smells opportunity. And then I think this is where he had the German line. Whatever. So we begin Act 1. Jake and Nog and Sisko get on the runabout. As they talk, there's definitely a production error of some broken wood in the ceiling above them. I don't know if you can see it, but like one of the beams over their head, there's clearly some sort of a seam there that failed. It was weird.
You know, Keith, some would say that Sisko's deep V there is giving me some
broken wood. Wow.
I didn't say it. I wasn't going to say it, but I was going to imply it.
You said it. You said it.
I mean, what is that outfit, though?
That is, I've talked about it a lot.
Is that the same thing he's wearing in the pilot?
No.
When they're on the beach?
I don't think so. No. That was a purple thing. But
it's from that same line.
It is definitely from the like unintentionally revealing civilian clothes because like we have no idea how to dress civilians on Star Trek.
Oof.
Although to be fair, Jake's jammies look great.
Yeah, Jake's
like I would wear that.
Yeah, 100%. You have worn that, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, all right. So, where was I? Cisco is clearly bummed that Nog is tagging along, but Jake promises they'll be good. Then Quark shows up. Speaking of ridiculous costumes, Cisco tries to run him off, but Quark guilts him into going along. They head through the wormhole and arrive at a lush planet in the woods. Cisco explains that it's a safe planet with no predators. Quark is not happy. See, go back one. It was so almost like startling to see a non-matte painting establishing shot.
Yeah, drone shot. Well, not a drone, clearly, but like
not a drone. That's probably the rainforest. I don't know, but
B-roll. Yeah,
it's beautiful. But like, what? That's not a matte painting. How do we know where they are?
You know what's interesting too, like to highlight a challenge for your family, or maybe not your family. I don't know. They probably weren't doing the ADR on set, or the miking on set, but
no.
The vocal audio is a little bit rough in these outside shots.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Well, yeah, I mean it changes everything, and certainly then you have to where my family would come in is that do you get the natural are there birds, are there other things that your labs are picking up? Do you leave that? Do you try to cut it out and replace it? Because usually you'd probably just cut it out and replace it with something else. But if like a bird chirps while they're doing a line, do you go back and ADR it? What do you do? There's like a whole.
I also really always appreciate when, because they're clearly mastering this to be watched on shitty home speakers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But I always love when they take an opportunity, like someone's going out the door over there, so they'll hard pan the door sound left, just for the few people they know will recognize that effect in stereo is cool. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's just stereo.
Yeah.
It's not even 5. So anyway, yeah. So and I think that's also a problem, a reason maybe they don't do as much location because it's more expensive to do all of that, but it affects everything.
Yeah, lighting. Everything.
You can't control the lighting. You can't control the sound. You can't control the weather. There's a whole mess of things that you add variables.
So I noticed this in real time too. When you're in civilian clothes, when you're just kind of like on vacay, do you get a different little communicator?
No, it's the same
smaller.
Communicator.
Doesn't it look smaller? Or maybe it's just the scale on his.
Yeah, I think you're just being distracted by the deep V.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, just like, there it is. You're welcome, Mike.
Now we got demonetized.
Oh, gross. All right. So Quark is not happy about being outside. He wants to strip mine the planet, and he's having an allergic reaction to nature. Could also be that outfit. I wrote down, doing this on location rather than a soundstage makes it so much better. It's more complicated for them, but it looks so much better on the screen. Feels much a higher budget. So later, Quark continues complaining about everything, and Cisco tells him he's not going to allow him to spam the station with his ads. And Cisco continues to enjoy turning him down as Quark has more allergy issues. Everybody is having a really good time making Quark miserable. Cisco checks in on Jake and Nog as they work on the survey. Nog looks sad for some reason, which doesn't really get panned out, but it's there in the subtext. I see it in Aaron's performance. Like, I don't know if something got cut, like a line got cut in there, but like, yeah, look at him. I mean, that was his like resting face. He looks so sad. Here's how I interpreted it. And like you said, it was all in subtext, but throughout the episode, you get there's so much Ben wanting time with Jake and Ben being supportive of Jake and Ben being supportive of them, but it's just Quark complaining and Rom's not even there. And I think there's a bit of melancholy in Nog here where he's recognizing
even though he's Ferengi, I think he's seeing in humans the kind of affection that he does that the Ferengis don't give to their kids, and I think there's a bit of him missing that. That's at least how I took it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that makes perfect sense. And
because he chirps up when Ben at the end of this scene, when Ben's like, "You guys did great work today." They cut to Nog, and his reception is like that reinforcement, that positive emotional reinforcement, actually is very helpful for him.
And I mean, yes, 100%. Like the father-son stuff. It's great, and it's interesting that it is all subtext here, but also as we hit on this episode pretty hard, just how shitty everybody is to Ferengis in general.
Yeah.
And how shitty Sisko is to Quark here, which Quark finally calls him on. And I think very interestingly and very justly, we'll get into it. But perhaps it's like, not only do I not have that sort of familial support, like my surrogate dad, who I'm sort of taking piece, is also like really crapping on my entire species.
I think that point, and I thought that Quark's reaction later, though it has teeth, I felt like it was a little out of place only because they neutered it by making him a whiny bee the whole episode. You know what I mean? Like, they sort of reinforce a lot of the crap, but I mean, I guess they do make it very personal, like very very racist.
Sure.
But they kind of make him annoying the whole, like, he does end up being very...
It becomes very useful, but also that's putting on our human concepts of annoying.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, he just doesn't like being outside. And us, like, being crappy to people who don't like to be outside.
Yeah, but he chose to do that. Like, he knew what he was getting into.
He did choose to do it. Yeah. So there's
and he's gonna win. He's gonna win Ben over to agree to do the commercials, which is clearly his only motivation for going on this trip, by complaining about everything. That seems counterintuitive to what you'd think he'd be putting on airs in order to achieve his fiscal ends.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why he's not successful until season 4. So, there we go. Spoiler alert.
Commercials.
So later that night, they eat jambalaya, and Quark continues complaining about the bugs. It's a good camping scene. Jake and Ben continue bonding under the stars. Then Quark lights himself on fire.
Very close talking.
Very close. See, because they're in 4x3. Even if you stretch them to 16x9, they live in a 4x3 world. Quark lights himself on fire. The stunt double is pretty obvious. Poor Quark is not having... The stunt double is like 6'2".
They don't even explain how he does it. I guess all that polyester.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these like quickly made civilian outfits, which are unintentionally revealing, are made of the most flammable possible material. So Nog hisses at him and runs off. As usual, Sisko has no patience for Quark. Quark makes a really good point about the Federation being kind of racist toward Ferengi, like we were saying. That the Federation preaches tolerance and understanding, but only really practice it for people who remind them of themselves. But they scorn Ferengis because they have different values. Sisko can't name a single Ferengi he likes, and never thought about letting Jake marry a Ferengi. Quark very much has a point here. And this is also, reading into the behind the scenes stuff, this is Ira Steven Behr very intentionally sticking up for the Ferengis and saying like, hey, we've got some hypocrisy going on here with the way that we treat these people. So anyway, it was interesting, but then a lady runs up out of the dark, and she shoots an energy ball out of her chest and knocks Sisko down.
Let's be honest, she Hadoukens him.
Hadouken!
You ever play Street Fighter 2, Keith?
No.
Folks.
I don't think so.
In the comments, hit me up. You know Hadouken, right? That's not an out of call reference. That's like Hadouken. It's what Ryu shoots in. Okay. Moving on.
I played Tekken with my little brother. I was I was
First of all, thanks to everybody who watches for coming to my rescue, telling me that they watch YouTube on TV with headphones. Thank you. And now tell me that I'm right about Hadouken. That's a
I'm not saying
that
you're
is
wrong.
a culturally relevant reference.
I'm just saying in like Tekken, whatever we were playing with my little brother, the fact that
I was the tiger guy face, right? The one guy had the tiger face.
I was always the robot, and he had this little like kicking thing that my little brother could not stop, and was able to like melt him down into nuclear fury, just doing the same move over and over and over again. That was unbeatable. It was delicious. All right. What's happening here? Oh, so the lady
laser beamed.
She gets laser beamed, and she asks how many Jem'Hadar there are. They don't know what that is. Then a bunch of Jem'Hadar appear out of thin air, turning off their Predator-style invisibility devices, which leads us into Act 2. What did you think about the first time seeing the Jem'Hadar and their Predator stuff?
I thought it was super cool. I thought the design was amazing, and we get better close-up a little bit later. And I loved their voice, like whoever their casting was great because their voices seemed menacing and deep and pretty cool.
And the production design, they designed it basically on rhinoceroses, without the horn, of course. But it's like it's part dinosaur, part like a triceratops kind of a feel with the spikes around the face. Really
I also
cool.
thought the lead up to even seeing the baddies was long. It was like 18 minutes before we saw any bad guys.
Of a camping sitcom.
Yeah. But what I thought was so cool, yes, very sitcom. That was the word I think that came to mind. But what I thought was awesome was, and I'm glad I got this screenshot, is because the beat shift between fun sitcom in Ben, like sitcom dad. I mean, he was clearly sitcom dad this whole first 18 minutes. And then
it was Danny Tanner.
Yeah, and then it's this look right here. And he's not afraid, but he knows that business is about to pick up, what good old JR would say.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, like that is like switching into Mama Bear face, which is awesome. So in Act 2, Jake and Nog arrive back at the camp to discover it deserted. Jake thinks something is up, and he sees a bunch of boot tracks. Nog smartly says, let's beam back on the runabout, where there will be weapons and sensors and a transporter. But Jake stupidly says, nah, let's handle this ourselves. But, again, I think that's part of just
He's got a little Cisco in him.
He's got a little Cisco in him, and he's also got a little 13, 14, however old he is at this point. We discover Quark, Cisco, and the lady in a light circle in a cave. Quark is calling out to his captors and complaining. He's totally freaking out, and Cisco is trying to keep him quiet. The lady says the light circle is a security barrier that is fatal if you touch it. And she's surprised they haven't heard of the Jem'Hadar. They explain who they are and where they're from. Her name is Eris. They shake hands. She explains that the Jem'Hadar are the soldiers of the Dominion. She says the Dominion tried to get her planet into the Dominion to exploit their telekinetic powers. When they refused, they sent in the Jem'Hadar, who seized control of the planet. She's wearing a collar that suppresses her telekinetic abilities, and that she might be able to get past the barrier if she didn't have it. So they decide to try to get it off and escape. Cisco thinks the Jem'Hadar are overconfident and they can get away. So what did you think about all this backstory here? What did you think of her?
So I'm glad to know that as kind of complicated as I thought the Dominion aspect was going to be, every time we've teased it with the Grand Nagus before and different stuff, it turns out to be pretty simple. To me, they're basically like a Third Reich-esque authoritarian force on this side of the wormhole that it has like pretty advanced technology. We're about to learn more about that, and like put out not false. They do they sugarcoat some attempts at negotiation. They have mob tactics, right? They strong arm different races into doing their bidding, and should these people decide not to pay the vig, they break some thumbs and arms or worse. So that all tracks, and they're just kind of an omnipotent. It makes sense. They're bad guys, and the Jem'Hadar It seems like the Jem'Hadar are their foot soldiers, to quote a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles phrase. But we haven't really met the leaders, the shredders. What do they call them? The council or the
founders?
The founders, right?
No, we have not met the founders yet.
So we don't know like the Dominion, like if the Dominion's made up of a bunch of different races or different species, or if it's one specific thing and the Jem'Hadar are just the soldiers. We don't really know that yet. Right.
Well, we know that whoever's at the top, it's very shadowy and mysterious.
Yeah. They probably wear cloaks, I would imagine.
Oh, well, obviously. Yeah. So Jake and Nog stumble through the forest and discover the Jem'Hadar standing in front of the cave. And that's all of Act 2.
Yep.
It was really just that one scene. And in Act 3,
at least they make a smart decision. They're like, well, we can't. Yeah. We got to get the hell out of here.
And they go back and do what Nog said initially. It was like, let's go to the runabout. Let's go to the spaceship we have with all of its technology to help us. So back in the cell, Sisko works to try to get the collar off while Quark gets the attention of the Jem'Hadar. It works. One of the Jem'Hadar comes to shut him up. He says, I can't let you go because the founders want you. Sisko wants to meet with them. And Eris says, the founders, they're just a myth. The Jem'Hadar says the founders created the Dominion. And he's disappointed to meet only a human and a Ferengi because he wants to meet a Klingon. Because they are tough warriors. Yeah. All Mike can think about with Klingons is weird Klingon sex. That isn't...
Well, that's the thing. Like when Klingons meet and they shake hands, do they not shake hands? Because then that's like them kind of like licking face a little bit.
Not like... The hand thing was just a thing that happened while they were getting it on. It's not like a whole... It's not a hand-based relationship.
But it was like... Well, then I don't know anything then. My whole outlook is messed up with the Klingons.
So he wants to meet a Klingon, but he gives a message. The Jem'Hadar gives a message from the founders. They're not going to let people go through the wormhole anymore. He seems to know a great deal about our quadrant. And he says they gain more knowledge every day.
So they've been doing so in these whole 2 seasons, we've been beaming in and out of the wormhole a bunch. They just been sitting back watching. They have yet to engage because they've been just observing, taking notes, and now clearly they're springing some action.
Decided to flip the switch. Yeah. But he knows all about Klingons, he knows all about humans, and it's definitely disconcerting how much.
But we don't know if their knowledge that they've gained, all this knowledge that they've gained, is just subsequent to the wormhole being opened, or if they've been able to traverse without the anomaly.
Previous to the wormhole,
we don't know that, right?
We don't know, no.
Or I don't know that, I should say, at this point.
Right. But certainly they know a heck of a lot more about us than we know about them. Yeah. So Jake and Nog beam back onto the runabout. They scan and find Sisko and Quark, but they can't beam them off because of the containment field. Nog, again the smart one, tells the runabout to fly back to the station. But the computer says, not until you put in your password. Which you'd think if you were in a situation like this, you might give the kids an emergency password or something. But nope. Then I guess that would be like giving your kids the car keys.
Or like a phone. Why wasn't their first thing like call Deep Space Nine? Computer.
Well, because I think they don't have a way to communicate through the wormhole. Because that's I mean, I don't know if we necessarily addressed it, because there'd have to be some sort of a relay system, but you'd have to trigger the wormhole to open in order to get the message through.
There's no way that the commander of the whole space station takes 2 kids on a runabout to a distant planet through the wormhole, and they don't have a fail-safe to communicate back.
You'd think there would be one, yeah. But anyway, so they realize they can't fly back.
Launch evasive maneuvers. I thought this was a funny scene.
Right. A vessel starts flying up from the planet. Nog panics. But the other ship just warps off and leaves them alone. Now they have to figure out how to fly the runabout. We head back to the station, and Kira and Dax see a new ship we haven't seen before emerge out of the wormhole. Then the Jem'Hadar we were talking to beams directly into Ops. Yikes. O'Brien puts him in a containment field.
Honey, did you lock the door?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you should probably lock the door.
They did, apparently. I guess they did. He got a master key.
They've got some shit we don't know about.
When he walks through the tractor coming up,
so cool. He says, we've detained Cisco. You may not continue going into the Gamma Quadrant. He then walks straight through the damn containment field and hands them a list of ships they've destroyed for violating their territory. That is some BDE.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah, but before he does, he also mentions they've wiped out New Bajor.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That whole colony that they just set up, they're all dead. He says they fought hard, but they're dead. He beams out and the ship leaves, and they couldn't stop it with a tractor beam. So,
yeah,
that is a technology flex right there. So back on the planet, hold on, I zipped too far. Back on the planet, Cisco keeps working on getting the caller off of Eris. He offers her a chance to come with them when they escape. And for some reason, they only ask Quark now to help with the locking collar. You know, the lockpick. So if you're playing D&D, right, you don't have the fighter unlock the door. You have the thief unlock the door. That's their whole purpose. Anyway, Quark says the main reasons humans don't like Ferengis is that they remind us of ourselves in the past. Another fair point. But then he continues to point out that humans were actually a lot worse than Ferengi. Slavery, genocide, and again, he's right.
Mm.
Ira Stephen Bear has got the Ferengis back. And he's like, stop treating me like crap.
Yeah.
I'm about to rescue your butt. So on the runabout, Jake and Nog have pulled a ton of isolinear chips out and are making a mess of things trying to turn off the autopilot because it's password protected. Luckily, it finally worked. Remember when we were having the discussion about the isolinear rod versus the isolinear chips?
Yes.
These are the chips that I'm referring to.
No organic material.
No organic material. These are the flash drives. And we see these on Next Gen a lot more than we do on Deep Space Nine. But that's where we're getting. That would be like a good... I bet, because they made a whole ton of them, it'd be a good prop to get.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
But you could probably get your hands on something like that. So it finally works, and they realize that because the autopilot is out, they have to fly it themselves. So, solves one problem, created another one. So back on the station, guess what? A Galaxy-class ship is docked. Not the Enterprise, but one of the sister ships. But certainly iconic and eye-opening when you see a Galaxy-class ship docked at the station. If for nothing else, how big those ships are.
Yeah, that's big.
The complement of the Enterprise is like about 2,000 people, but that ship can hold like 10,000 people. It's crazy. So the captain says Starfleet is suspending all travel through the wormhole until they can investigate the Jem'Hadar threat. Our team wants to go on a rescue mission, but the captain tells O'Brien to arm the runabout with photon torpedoes. I can't speak today. Also, the captain's a bit of a dick. Later, Odo is beefing up security when Kira comes up to tell him...
Well, I mean, he's a bit of a dick, but, like, let's be honest. Clearly, and our crew's a little cocksure here because they just basically were like, your technology, right? They like,
right.
Oh, here's your tractor beam. Like, we did... They're basically, we come when we want, we leave when we want. You can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So at least there should have been a strategic meeting being like, maybe we need to, like... I know we got to get Ben, but we got to talk about this before we just like go attack them because clearly we could be underarmed. And
you think?
And O'Brien's like, I put some photon torpedoes in there. So I think that the other captain being like, yo, y'all, I know you're a ragtag troop here, but like maybe we should get some actual military people isn't out of. Maybe he could. His bedside manner is not great, but I mean, he's got a point.
His tone was dickish, but his point, because it's like, oh, we're gonna go to war. Well, what do you have? Like, I've got a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, I got a Super Soaker 50 from 1993.
I've got a '96 Subaru and a potato gun.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason why the ship's there, because Deep Space Nine and their runabouts, this is not a thing prepared for war. It's not. There's no battling here. They're wildly.
But
outgunned.
It's cool that also the Federation clearly is underestimating the Jem'Hadar because they only sent one ship.
Right.
Big as it is.
Right. Well, I think that this whole episode is about us being caught wildly with our pants down. So
maybe not just that, but also I think a little, and I think Nog or Quark sort of foreshadows it with some of his more political or let's say sociological waxing. Not only are we caught with our pants down, but we're caught a little self-assured, if you will, thinking that we've got, we're at the top of the food chain in the Federation, that we, and I think maybe we learn a little something, maybe get put in our place a little bit. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the Federation has been, it's been top of the food chain. Like the adversaries, the Klingons and the Romulans or whatever, they're very serious adversaries, but we're sort of equally matched roughly, and have like mutually assured destruction. The only real threat the Federation has faced at like an existential level to this point has been the Borg, but they only sent one ship at this point. Right. So, that we don't necessarily. So they were like, yeah, we got this, we're good. So later, Odo is beefing up security when Kira comes up to tell him, you don't have to come on this rescue mission. But then Odo says the most romantic line on the show to this point. I figure while you and the others are trying to rescue Sisko and the boys, somebody ought to be there to look out for Quark. Single tear. It was beautiful. And I heard there was some broken wood I had to address.
Exactly. Don't bump your head. So she tells him to head down, and they go to their respective runabouts. The Odyssey, which is the Galaxy-class ship, exits the wormhole with the two runabouts, and are surprised to discover there's nobody here to greet us. Meanwhile, Jake and Nog are floundering while Jake learns how to fly. It's going to take them 5 years at this pace. Then 3 ships come out of warp. It's the Odyssey and the runabouts. Jake and Nog are rescued. Hooray. And that is sort of oddly the end of Act 4. We usually end in a moment of suspense, but we end in a moment of resolution, perhaps because there's a lot more suspense to come in Act 5. Back in the cell, Quark is still working to remove the collar, and he finally does it. Eris shoots the field with her telekinetic thing, and Sisko charges the guard and tosses his weapon to Quark. Then another guard appears, they battle, and Quark, stepping up, getting stuff done, shoots the other guard, allowing them to exit the cave. So good old Quark here is the hero like 6 different ways. So meanwhile, the Odyssey and the runabouts detect 3 ships coming out of warp. The battle begins, and the Odyssey immediately starts getting its ass kicked. Their shields are useless. Again, the huge technological advantage we're seeing here. Sisko, Quark, and Eris run through the forest to get back to the runabout, but wasn't the runabout always in orbit?
Yeah.
So where were they running to?
Fair.
I don't know. It was a bit of like a, what?
Fair.
Doesn't matter, because they're beamed up by O'Brien, Jake, and Nog. They're rescued, huzzah! So we head back to the battle, and it is not going well. The first runabout is disabled, and the Odyssey is on fire. So what did you think of the this is our first sort of like big battle sequence.
I thought it was okay. It was pretty cool. There's a lot of shaking and moving. I thought it was cool how we were getting our ass kicked. I didn't know how hard we were about to get our ass kicked, but it was cool. Yeah.
I always when I was a kid, I still to this day, whenever they use practical fire on the bridge, it gets me very excited.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I always think it's cool. Anyway, they're, getting their ass kicked. So they decided, let's just make a run for it and get back through the wormhole. But just as they do, one of the Jem'Hadar ships does a suicide run into the Odyssey.
This is after they beam them up. Did I miss that
After they
part?
beam them up.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so they beam up, they get out. Hooray, they're saved. And then, all right, so here's the big battle sequence. So
there's some really cool visuals too.
Yeah.
I love this POV shot every time they do it. It's only done it a few times, but I always love it. It's very Disney World ride.
It's Disney World ride, but also like it feels much more like immersive. It makes it feel
this gives you a vibe of some of the more advanced virtual reality games, Keith, like Lone Echo and some of the Bridge Crew games like that give you this feeling and this visual. Like you actually can come up to the glass and see through, and that depth effect works. It's Nick, when you come over, when you come visit, I'm going to let you play some of this stuff. You're gonna dig it. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to puke on your couch.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
we're giving up the main thing here.
Yeah. So here's the big moment. The Jem'Hadar ship does a suicide run into the Odyssey and it explodes. They have just now destroyed the biggest, toughest ship in the Federation.
With I'm imagining a lot of people aboard.
Hundreds of they did mention that they took the civilians off and left them at Deep Space Nine, but that's still a whole mess of people just died in that explosion. Yeah. The runabouts head back home, and before they get onto the station, Quark pulls Sisko aside and says, "We need to talk." So Eris arrives on Op with the team when Sisko shows up with a phaser. Quark has realized that the collar was a fake. It's just a complicated lock, and that she could have used her abilities whenever she wanted. She is a spy too. Sisko thinks she's a founder, but she laughs at that, and she says, "You have no idea what you've done here." Then she beams out to who knows where, again, showing off big technology energy. Sisko says, "If the Dominion comes through the wormhole, the first battle will be fought right here, and I intend to be ready for them." And that, kids, is your season. Wow is right. All right, so let's do a vocab quiz and then let's discuss. And now it's time for Mike and Deglio's Star Trek Vocabulary Quiz. All right, so one of these is super easy, and one of them is one I've asked before, but now it's an evolving answer. Mike, what is the Jem'Hadar?
The Jem'Hadar are the foot soldiers of the Dominion, Keith. They are clearly the muscle behind the founders, or behind the sort of the powers that be of the Dominion.
Yeah. And which brings us obviously to, Mike, what's the Dominion?
The Dominion is an authoritative governing body, or a force that sort of is Federation symbiote a bit, or, juxtaposition, but bad.
Yeah. Big and tough and mysterious at this point. All right, let's move along home for season 2. Okay. All right, let's start with, are there any wormholes in this plot, Mike?
So the wormhole I see is my biggest nit with the episode, actually.
Okay.
And it's Eris. It's everything Eris.
Okay.
Because, so see through here. So if the plan was, if as Ben and Quark figure out, and she basically concedes at the end, if the plan was, have them think she was this damsel in distress.
Right.
They somehow eventually escape, right? Mm-hmm. They escape aboard the Deep Space Nine.
Right.
And then she will just like live amongst them and be a spy and stuff, right?
Possibly.
Yeah, okay. But clearly they just showed a couple scenes before, they can just beam aboard, beam out. They are not constrained by any of the security or of the tractoring done on Deep Space Nine. Why go through the whole charade? Why not just beam a spy aboard? Deep Space Nine is full of people coming and going at all times. Just why go through? Why do the whole mechanism?
Well, because like, all right, so if I'm trying to spy on the president, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I can beam into the White House, I can beam into the Capitol, or I can make myself friends with the president and have long conversations directly with the president, like actually building that relationship. I mean, spy work isn't getting yourself into the building and looking around. It's about relationships. It's about building connections. It's about...
Yeah, but they could have done that in any variety of ways, I guess, other than because they had to then set up a trap. They had to know Ben was coming. They had to then set up a trap to capture him. They had to then let them know they have him. Then they have to let him escape. It seems very elaborate which they could have very simplified by putting like an ambassador aboard or just freaking coming and threatening them. What are they to gain? If the whole point is the whole scene where the Jem'Hadar beam aboard and they're like, the Dominion don't want you coming through the wormhole, test us and find out.
Well, but I think the purpose of it, and I think the wormhole that I see that I agree with is how did they know he was going to go to that planet, and what are they? But to be fair,
it was on a whim. I mean, him and Jake.
It was on a whim, but they didn't need to set up much, right?
Yeah.
There's no. All they did is a containment field.
Mm.
So they follow the runabout. They realize, they know who's on it. They know there's like whatever planet they go to. This is when we're going to make our move. And here's our move. We put the containment field in the thingy. We have her come in. We grab them like this. There wasn't a huge like set they had to build in that moment there. So, but I think the purpose of doing it this way, as opposed to the way you're describing, is to really find out what the Federation knows already.
Mm, yeah.
Right. What is the most valuable information? I mean, part 2 is making the threat, is making yourself known. But part 1 is like, what do you guys already know about it? What do you know?
Yeah, I think what we learned too, along that train of thought is, and that's why I love the scene about the Jem'Hadar wanting the Klingon, is that whilst we are clearly underestimating them, they have overestimated us. They clearly are disappointed with how much we know, what we think. Like they are like, oh, these aren't going to be. I think they were kind of maybe excited for a little bit of a competition, but they're like, oh, these peons got nothing.
I think the implication for the Jem'Hadar, at least, is that he wanted to fight a Klingon. I wanted to like fight a worthy adversary, and you guys are a bunch of wimps.
Yeah, I think that's a stand-in for how they kind of are viewing us. Like, I don't think they see us as a threat right now.
No, but they see us enough of a threat to go through all of this trouble.
Yeah. Well, because I think they anticipated us to be more of a threat than we are.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. But I think from Eris's point of view, it is two-pronged. One is to find out what we know. Also, upon discovering that we don't know anything, they get to write the first version of our understanding of what the Dominion is.
I think that's fair.
So, how do we know what's true and what's not true at this point, now that we know that it's an unreliable narrator? Maybe it benefits her to tell the truth. Maybe it doesn't. We don't really know yet. But so she actually got a tremendous amount of intelligence by pretending to be captors there, because you let your guard down. Hey, we're both screwed. We're going to work together to get out. That would be sort of my feeling on that.
All right.
So yeah. Do I have any other wormholes? No, not really. I mean, it all sort of tracks there. It's all just sort of very, it's about setting up just how powerful these folks are and just how wildly unprepared we are. So, Mike, what was your best moment?
I think the best moment of the episode is actually, I mean, it's super cool when they blow up an Enterprise class ship. I think is that what it's called?
It's a Galaxy
class ship. The Enterprise is one of those.
Yes, that's right.
I think that's super cool. That's super badass. But for me, the better flex is when the Jem'Hadar just like waltzes into ops and is like, here's my threat. You think oh, that's cute. You've got your little beam. Oh, and you're going to try to catch me on the way out. Peace. You don't even know where I'm. You can't even trace where I went. I think that's the bigger flex, and I think that really you could boil the whole episode to that one scene. Really, that's the scene, right?
Yeah.
That, and then I guess when she beams out at the end, they're both kind of the same thing.
Similar flexes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That's going to be my pick.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's literally the instant he walks through the containment field.
He's like,
and it's like, oh, like that's, because that's one of our highest security. Like we have nothing to stop you from doing anything. But I also think for me, it was the Eris reveal, right? Because it's a flex on two things, right? Because we've had the technological flex, we had the just sheer the battle flex, the determination flex. Because like in order to do that, in order to blow up the Galaxy ship, an entire ship of Jem'Hadar commits suicide.
Yeah.
So like that is a commitment flex as well as a technological flex. But I think the Eris reveal is an intelligence flex. And that, so not only we overpowered your technology, we were way more brutal than you thought we were going to be, and we outsmarted you with our intelligence. And I don't necessarily think that the plan was to leave her on the station spying for a long time. I don't think she cared that she got caught. I think she got everything she needed to know in that cave.
I'm sorry to go this route, folks.
Let's do it.
My apologies. I don't
even know what it's going to be, but
I think there isn't some sort of it's somewhat analogous to 9/11, right? Where we were caught with our pants down, security wise, because we, these people just like got through our airplane security, or we were just our lax. Not that they're saying it's lax on the side. I'm just, it's a loose connection, but so we've got that. At the same time, they put this whole mastermind plan and communicated it under our radar. So that's like a tech flex. And at the same time, we're dealing with an enemy they got the religious zealotness where they're willing to just commit suicide and kill themselves. And so there's
the
that
determination flex.
Yeah. So it's that on that day when all of a sudden everything changed and we were fighting a war with a new enemy that was different than anything we'd seen before. Here we are.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an unfair comparison. And I think
clearly they're much more technologically advanced than like these people but we still underestimated. They live in caves and they've got like a
Right. We totally underestimated. Yeah, and I think underestimating the threat for sure. And there's going to be a lot of because you're right, the entire perspective changes now, right?
Because we've heard about the Dominion before, and we've just chosen not to follow up, really.
Well, and we couldn't, it's just it wasn't really high on the list of stuff. But a couple of things change, right? One, obviously we're under way more threat than we thought we were. But Deep Space Nine, right? The first two lines of that are deep space. So we're on the fringes in the middle of nowhere on the frontier. We're not in the middle of the Klingon. We're on the Romulan border, the Klingon border. Like we're not really, yes, we have the Cardassian thing, but that's not really related to us. We're sort of arbitrators in another thing. And so it's not really, we're way the hell out there. We're isolated. We're remote. Now, all of a sudden, we're on the front lines of like whatever happens moving forward. This is right here on the absolute front line. And so the center of the attention of the entire Federation just moved. Right. Because if we're taking this threat seriously, which I think at this point we are, all of a sudden Deep Space Nine is like the most important place in the universe. And it started to become that when they discovered the wormhole, but that was like an exploration and scientific hole. Now it's like, oh, we might get annihilated. And so that, it changes everything. So all right, we're well into stem bolts. So
so this is an interesting one to judge for me because the implications of the episode and the setup of it is awesome, off the charts, right? 10 out of 10.
But you have no idea
Yeah.
how it pays off or if it pays off.
I mean, clearly it's like introducing the best of bad guys, or not even, but with enough ambiguity that it's like exciting. Like, can't wait to see. It's like you hear the footsteps and you've seen some of the fallout, but you don't know what's coming. So that's pretty rad. And we've seen enough of the Jem'Hadar. Just their foot soldiers are badass, right? So, oh my goodness, what else is in store? But I have some problems with the episode as a standalone episode in that literally almost half the runtime, the first 18 to 19 minutes is fun, but it's nothing. I mean, it's all setup that could have been done much quicker. In addition, they bring along Jake and Nog, and you keep waiting for them to be like, to have some sort of agency in the episode. And truthfully, they don't really. They get back. They aren't part of the rescue, really. They aren't part of the battle. They aren't.
It becomes a B story of their survival.
But not really. It's like the tone doesn't really know what it's going to be. There's a bunch of like comedic beats, and then once the episode switches real serious, we're still getting kind of like with them fumbling with the chips. Not that it's bad in any way. It's just there aren't really any teeth there, and I love their chemistry together always. So it's not a complaint as much as just like in this episode, it's not additive a lot when there's so much other good stuff. But truthfully, it's three big scenes, right? It's the scene where they meet the Jem'Hadar in the beginning. It's the scene where they beam aboard the ship, and then it's the big battle sequence / reveal. Those are the three big things of the episode, and those, I think there was, it lacked a little interesting episode. Like the reveal's cool, what we learn is really cool, but it's not the packaging leaves a little.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of plot, strangely.
Yeah. Right.
I will defend it this way, though, right? Because we are, we're paradigm shifting. We're breaking the entire universe by doing this. I don't think it's that much of a spoiler to say that, like, yeah, we're going to follow up on this, right? This isn't like something we're going to forget about. So I think realizing that we have now broken our universe, I think establishing what we're losing before. I think if we started with that, we would have to be remembering previous episodes to know the world that just got broken, the sort of the innocence that is shattered by this. And so there's somewhat of the starting in that innocent place that, like, you know, season one kind of a place where, like, it's a family dynamic and we're talking about this and there's bugs and whatever, to have that be shattered and have that be interjected on it. From a writing standpoint, like, I'm 100% right. Like, the pacing of it felt a little bit slow, but I also, looking back on it now, I feel like it was a little bit more surprising when stuff got blown up 18 minutes into the episode as opposed to 8 minutes in the episode.
Well, that brings me to my other nit, is I felt like the impact could have been broadened by having the characters react in any sort of way about the loss of that ship. I didn't feel the impact. It happened towards the end, yes, and so we had to kind of wrap things up. Ben has kind of like a castaway line where he's like, they're just showing us what lengths they'll go to. They kind of, like, we don't really see the crew react in any sort of way to, like, we just lost a captain and a Galaxy-class ship in a battle, right? Like, maybe we could have found a way to have them react, or maybe have met a character that was going to die that we liked, or that had some sort. I just felt like it didn't have the teeth. I kept, like, the way you and some other people had commented, I was really waiting for like we were gonna lose a cast, but like it's something huge. And not that this wasn't. The stakes are clearly there. It just felt like the teeth weren't there for me. So, like I said, the knowledge and the impact of the setup, awesome. 10 out of 10. The episode, I'd give it a 6. So where do I come in between that? 80.
80. Wow. Yeah.
What's that, right? 16, 10 and 6, 16 divided by 2 is 8.
Yeah.
80.
No, you're right. That, that's very interesting. I I completely agree.
I mean,
with
that's
you.
80 is great. That's a B.
No, it's good. It's good. I think it would have been. I think you're absolutely right about a rewrite of this giving us a character that we cared about that we lost. And I don't mean like a main cast member. I don't even think it necessarily had to be anybody that was introduced before.
So hold on. You know that scene where like they cut back to Ben and he's like, we're going to be ready for them. Great scene. But have that somewhere where they're doing a memorial, right? Like have taps, like a taps type theme playing, and he's giving this great grand speech where he's like, this is what we've lost, blah, 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 blah. It's our Independence Day, yada, yada, yada. We'll be ready for them the next time.
Yeah.
Season end. You're like, fuck.
100%. Yes. And yes. And so remember that scene, we meet the captain of this ship and he's kind of a dick, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's making good points, but he's kind of condescending to everybody. And I understand the purpose of that was to set up how unprepared our heroes were, right? And how like they didn't have any weapons, they didn't have any ships, whatever. But I think that what we gained in that we would have lost at an opportunity. What if that captain were somebody we really liked, right? Even if he was going to die, even if it's like a 2-minute scene, right? But if there was something really charming about that captain, somebody like you said, somebody on that ship who died.
Like I thought for a while, I had to look it up. Sorry, I looked it up. I Googled that captain thinking, oh, he must have like deep roots in the Star Trek universe. That's why people are like, oh my God, they killed such and such. But no.
Right. No, it totally would have been great. And like there were some, we could have killed off a character that we'd met once or twice that we really liked. But I mean, like bringing Fremen back or something. But yeah, I feel like, yes, those two notes would have made this better. No question. And I will say moving forward, they're going to miss fewer of those opportunities. Right. They're gonna fill those holes that
I mean, clearly season 2 of a show, it's not, you know, maybe you don't have the cachet yet to be like, you know, we're killing off a giant lore person in the lore, you know, maybe they earn that a little bit more going forward. But you know, I was just saying, like, you
didn't feel the stakes of and I'll tell you exactly what's wrong with it. We all instinctually felt the oh my god of them blowing up a Galaxy class ship.
But then they don't show a reaction shot of any of our people.
They do.
Not really, though. It's quick. You hear a little bit, because I thought it was going to be a big scene, because you hear a little like of a trumpet theme that feels very tapsy. Right. And you see Ben, and you think he's going to deliver a line like what we've lost today is blah, 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 but no, he's just like, they're just showing, he makes it about them. They're showing us. And clearly he's in battle mode. Like, I'm not judging him on it, but I felt like that was the opportunity and they didn't do it. And I think that they overestimated the importance of the Galaxy class ship as a character, right? Because the Enterprise D is a major character of the show, right? It is a very the ship itself is a major character. And I think they overestimated that. But we know it's not the Enterprise D, and we didn't have a human or alien, like a live action character for us to connect to in that moment that would have been better in either of those situations. Anyway, yeah, I mean that's like being like that's like a Pearl Harbor event. That's like they took one of our huge battleships, right, and blew it up, right.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. So, I liked it better than you do, although I don't know how much of that is colored by what's coming. But yeah, I mean this. I think the introduction of a threat like this was successful. I think the oh shit of it all, I think, is successful. And certainly the capabilities with the cloaking thingies and the badass, like that's like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, I'll say it's cool, and it's a flex on the writers and the show's point by, you know, think about another baddie, the Borg, right? There's this really cool, ominous visual design, you know, like it's they use aesthetically, it's very scary.
Tough and right,
Yeah.
sure.
Here, not that the Jem'Hadar aren't, but it's more the anticipation of what's coming that is the fear factor. And they're like, we don't even have to show it to you yet, and we can still elicit that response. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. They get the
Mm-hmm.
done well. And will continue to do so. So, there. I guess I'm not going to speak to any of the spoilery parts.
Well, then speak to a number.
I'm going to speak to a number, and my number, I think for the importance of it all, for me, it gets a 91.
Wow.
I really do think that it was exciting. It kicks off a whole new thing, and I think it's was very
still
fun.
Our average probably is lower than what you would come to expect then.
Well, I mean, yes, it is lower than the average is lower than many episodes. It's my highest episode of the season, personally. But you want to, just crazy before we all move on with our days. So I have a running average of what you and I have rated this season. And you and I have differed on every single episode except for one. But get this. My season average is 76.84.
Oh, we've left ourselves some room. Okay.
Uh-huh. Mike, what do you think your season average is?
It's got to be damn close.
76.83. After all of this, we are within 100th of a point.
So since we don't do like a summary, let's talk about our highest and lowest.
So your highest was Blood Oath with a 95.
Remind me what that was.
That was Dax and her Klingon buddies taking revenge.
Great, love it.
Right? And other 90 plus were Rules of Acquisition, Necessary Evil, Collaborator, and those were and Armageddon Game were all over 90 for you. For me, my over 90s were Necessary Evil, Blood Oath, and the Jem'Hadar. Those are my only ones. Your low was Paradise at 48. Oof. Rivals you put at 49.
What?
My low was Sanctuary at 35. I also gave Second Sight a 39. So not good. You gave Second Sight a 73. I gave it a 39.
I was pumped about that one.
That's great. I don't even remember which one that was. So there we are. Season, and both of them an improvement on season one. My season average for season one was a 70.4. Yours was a 73.9. So they both went up to 76.
Oh, Second Sight was the one where Ben was dating that like Figment.
Oh,
lady.
The Fenna one.
I loved that one. Well, Keith, I do want to say this before we head out. We are paying our tab to Quarks here as we head out of. So if you want to pay your tab, you can do so at patreon.com/KNM. We like to thank all of our let's be honest, they're the producers of the show, and we don't say that flippantly with no snark. Every one of those pennies helps Keith and I live the life we're trying to live, which is do this show and all the stuff with, like our other obligations. So we appreciate you guys helping offset the time. You can do the same, patreon.com/KNM, or you can give us a like, give us a subscribe. Check out some of our other shows on YouTube where we talk about Keith's Star Trek toys and other toys, cool customs that people create. We also talk about random stuff every Monday on KNM Geekly. But hopefully you could tell a friend, or if you're in a chat room or you watch other Star Trek channels, maybe leave a comment and let people know that we're here. We're not trying to compete. We're just trying to get the numbers up. We'd like more people to kind of watch our summaries and just kind of join the team. We appreciate you all. We thank you for your support. We hope it continues.
Yes, for sure. To all of that. Yeah, we thank everybody for all their support. And the conversation we're having here in the comments is something that I look forward to every single week. It's really everybody, the people who watch the show are so smart, and so and clever, and they've got so much good information and good insights. Really appreciate it. So we will see you back next week with a little facelift and a new opportunity to talk about Star Trek with season 3. We will be beginning with the season premiere, The Search Part 1. Here,
we're getting a 2B, a 2-parter.
We're getting a 2B. Get ready.
Woo!
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. Till then, this has been Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. Thank you for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please like and subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/KNM.